The next item, 7K, is short-term borrowing update and a request for authorization to short-term borrow up to $2,800,000 for up to 90 days to meet cash flow needs. Mr. Gorder, I guess.
In your packet, again, you'll have a, well, I guess you don't have it yet. I have the documents here for that short-term borrowing, but you will need to approve a resolution tonight to borrow up to $2.8 million. And again, I have a short presentation on short-term borrowing over the last 3 years to give you kind of an idea of what we have been doing or how much we've been borrowing. Now, you approve these kind of in isolation twice a year, once in November and then once in May-ish, June. And just to give you an idea, in 2009-2010, in that November period, we borrowed about $1.5 million, interest of $2,578, and then in the May-June area, we borrowed $2 million with about $2,000 of interest, and then 10 and 11, again, $2.5 million with about $4,000 of interest, and then 2.6 in May-June for about another $3,150. And then this year, we will be borrowing, asking to borrow 2.8, or I'm sorry, last year was $1.9 million. In the fall, about $2,850, and then in May and June, again, it was about $2,650 for interest, $2,821. So the point of this is, it's pretty consistent. I mean, if you really look at this, we're borrowing approximately the same amount of dollars. And you'll know we're going to borrow $2.8 million, or ask to borrow that money, and that's just so that we have the flexibility just in case. That doesn't mean we'll take that much money from the bank. We'll only take what we need to keep those interest costs down as low as we can. Now, if you would look back even farther than this, you would have seen a short-term borrowing procedure, which basically we would borrow, up to $4 million at one time, and we would keep that for the year. There was an opportunity to borrow that at a lower interest rate and then reinvest that at a higher interest rate and actually offset the interest costs and potentially make dollars, but with where the interest rates are now, it's just not feasible. I would assume someday that's going to change, hopefully sooner than later, but hopefully we'll get there. So again, we're asking you to pass a resolution to borrow up to $2.8 million.
So moved to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the request for authorization to short-term borrow up to $2.8 million for up to 90 days.
I should do just one other explanation as why we borrow that $2.8 million. I think it gets to be pretty, just about, for us, standard operating procedure as we go throughout the year. But what has happened over the years with the changes of when they're giving us our state aid payments, by delaying it just a certain amount of time, it throws us off so that we are not able to meet our short-term cash flow borrowing needs, which means we would not be able to make payroll and things like that. So it has become necessary for us to, because of that delay, to do that short-term borrowing. And that's been going on in the state of Wisconsin for many, many years. It's not anything new.
And we have partnered with local institutions to do that.
Yes, we have in the past. Currently we're working with F&M Bank, and they should be able to meet our obligations or our needs for in November, but if it gets to a greater number, then F&M will partner with other various banks, whether that be First Bank or Timberwood Bank, or at least ask them if they want to participate in that to meet our goals. So very appreciative over the years of what our local banks have been able to do to keep us operating and moving forward.
Let me ask the remedial question. It's not allowed or feasible to take it out of fund balance and then replace it?
No, when you look at fund balance, when we talk about fund balance, we'll say we have approximately $4 million. That's not exactly what we have, but let's just say it's pretty close to that right now. When we give you that figure, that's just one snapshot of one day and time in the school district, and that's typically June 30th. So what happens is that $4 million will get spent out over the course of the year, and that money will come in and go out. And what happens with that delayed state aid payment, we're actually running a negative $2.8 million in cash flow unless we do that short-term borrowing.
I see.
And then we'll get our state aid payment on or about December 5th, which will catch us back up, get us back in a positive cash flow.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions? We have a motion and a second to approve that short-term borrowing.
Should take a roll call on that.
Okay. We'll take a roll call vote.
Kathy?
Present.
John?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes.
So the motion carries and the request is approved.